Alright guys, we're going to talk about some barbell setup today. And we're going to compare two exercises, our clean setup, whether we're going to be doing squat cleans, power cleans, and we're also going to talk about our deadlift setup. What's the difference of the setups? I think oftentimes it's easy to think that the setup is the same if we're doing a power clean versus when we're doing a deadlift. And if you do cross training, if you mix your modalities, they oftentimes can kind of intersect. And there's some similarities, but there's also some very important differences if you want to max out or maximize your potential. So let's talk about our clean setup first. The whole purpose of a power clean, I know we understand now that it's become a exercise in a specific sport. If we're talking about CrossFit, we know that the clean is a Olympic lifting exercise as well, competitively. But the power clean, as far as performance training, is designed for just that, to create and train power. So the setup for that should allow us to be the most efficient. So when we're setting up for the power clean, the bar is generally going to be somewhere towards the mid to maybe for taller athletes, longer femurs, or even forward of your the mid position of your foot. We're going to coach a prone grip here. I like to coach our athletes outside of the shoulder width, and we also use a hook grip. So this is going to be the only grip that you want to use. If you're not hook gripping your cleans, you need to start doing that. Get some thumb tape. Just man up, woman up. Let's get tough. So we're going to get our feet set. So when I drop my hips, you guys will notice that my hips are still just above the knees, but the barbell, if I stand up, is going to have some space in between the shin. Now the purpose of that is because the pull of a clean is a bit like a candy cane or an S. Initially I'm going to pull towards my midline. Now I have to circumnavigate the knees. Again, aggressively pull here because I have to now get that triple extension and get that clean to the front rack to eventually get it overhead. So there's a major difference there. The power clean is going to go vertical. It's going to go above my head. The deadlift is a static lift. We just want to get to the hips. So I can be a little bit more linear in a static lift. Hips will high. We're going to talk about that stuff in a minute though. So again, back to my clean hook grip, feet set up. When I now barely graze, you don't have to scrape the skin off of your shins. You can wear knee sleeves if you like to keep it close as optimal, but you should be thinking a sheet of paper in distance between that shin and the bar. And when I make that ascent, again, I can now pull and then put myself in a good position to receive that bar. So again, the setup for the clean, prone grip, hook grip with the thumbs. The bar is going to be a little further away from a midline because the goal is create power, and a lower bottom, a lower hip position is going to allow us to do that. So let's talk about the deadlift position. So we talk about in the clean setup, lower hips still above the knees, chest vertical, so we can open up, make that S position or that S shape as we go to that first, second, and then ultimately that third pull. With the deadlift, we're going to think A to B, right? So we're going to talk about whether it's conventional, which feet are closer in, generally inside the shoulder width, or sumo, wider foot position. We're not going to make the debate of which is superior. We like to coach whatever the preference is, which you can perform better at whatever event that the movement pattern is legal or allowed. So we're going to talk about the conventional just to contrast it to the clean setup. Foot positioning is relatively the same. Big key differences here. First off, let's talk about the grip. I can go mixed grip. If you use a mixed grip, it's a really good idea to switch up, which is the open hand, that supinated grip, because that also is going to have the most strain on our biceps. And you guys can reference this. Some nasty stuff can happen if you're pulling a really heavy weight and you're losing that grip and you're really depending on that open, that bicep. You can also use straps, double prone. If you want to get real weird, you could supine. Don't recommend that. But just play with your grips. Decide what feels best for you in training, especially when you're going heavy. Probably a good idea to use some straps. All right. So for the setup now for the deadlift, if I have my hips super low now, first off, I have a further vertical distance to travel. So if I'm trying to lift the heaviest weight, I don't have to be in a position now at the top position, at that second pull position, to be able now to take that bar to the front rack. All I need to do is get the bar to my hips so I can be a little bit even, as far as the base of my gravity behind the bar a little bit. If we do that in our clean pull, barbell's going to go out in front, or you're going to be chasing it down, you're going to be off balance, and you're never going to complete that lift, and you're definitely not going to generate the most efficient power. So the bar is going to be closer. It's going to be closer to our midline, as well as my hips being higher. Generally, a good position for your foot is just over that mid position or the base of our tripod foot that's in the ground. So now in this example, I'm going to go with a mixed grip. I'm going to drop my hips into the bar, where now I can feel again that close contact. And you guys can see, yes, when I stand up, there's a slight separation, but not near as drastic as with the clean. So now when I get my grip again, I'm going to have my hips even higher than the clean position. This is going to allow for a more vertical pull and thus greater mechanical advantage, which is really what we want, the most net mechanical advantage, so we can get the load from the ground to our hip height. So I've got my setup now. Going to get it tucked in. As soon as my shins make contact with the bar, that's a good position, and we're going to pull and then finish that lift. Now what we want to think about in both pulls is, again, vertical trunk, making sure our shoulders are back in a good torso position. We're not going to break down a ton of that in this video. Our main difference is understanding, again, our deadlift, closer in, hips higher, finishing the pull. We just got to get from A to B. In that clean position, a little bit further out, hips a little bit lower, so I can make that pull from the hip height. So again, know what movement patterns you're training for, guys, and understand that these finite details are definitely going to make a really big difference in your performance. Stay flexing.